Continue.
So we're talking about the topic of sexuality and how it applies to our spiritual experience. And we laid down a lot just recently, in the recent conversation. Thank you.
New prop.
New prop. It's comfortable. Um, the idea that pretty much laying down the basis that, male or female, we come into this experience choosing one or the other. It serves whatever purpose it's supposed to serve for us in terms of why we're here, individually speaking. Not going in too much deeply into the course idea of past lives. However, based on my own experience, I am aware of at least two by which one I was female and lived to be very old, and one by which I was male and died quite young. I would say, in my 20s, early 30s. Now, I don't think that's the limit of my past lives, and I do believe I've been around the block a few times. And many people just have that intuitive knowing. Can I prove it? I certainly can't, and don't want to try to intend to. So in this life, I've chosen to come as a male embodiment with very much a strong awareness of my female side, meaning that I express emotion. I can feel quite easily. I cry quite readily, both in happy and sad moments. And that typically is not a trait that we associate with masculinity.
May I add, you're very nurturing, very compassionate, very empathetic, which is a very feminine, to tend to others and anticipate their needs.
And going back to the question, is our spirit either male or female? And your answer was both, and I say neither, which is the same. It is both and neither. It is the yin and the yang.
Right.
So, but we have to choose one or the other in this lifetime. And of course, that's leaving out those who kind of come through, partially one or the other, both. We're not going to go there. We're going to kind of stay on the more, I don't want to say normal, but the more regular experience of our coming. Only in recent society have we really kind of come to understand that there are a lot of different levels of people's sexuality. I mean, the 60s opened up a whole lot of things in terms of understanding and studying how people operate from a sexual standpoint. Is it simply the purpose to procreate? Certainly that's a major one. We see it in all species of animals as well as even plants. I mean, it is the thing that propagates. 6.75 billion, again, of us here. We had to get that, there somehow. However, sexuality also involves a very physical connection to our human experience. The moment of orgasm is something that many people see God and stars and cosmic oneness with. It drives addictions to sexuality because it connects us to Source in such a way. And when the experience with another person is, whether it's with the opposite sex or with the same, whether you agree with it or not, it is an expression of truly what it is to be human. But it connects us to our spiritual origins. So in this life, I have very much an understanding and in touch with my feminine energy in a male body, and I happen to be gay. However, I also know some very wonderful heterosexual men that have strong and secure awareness and knowing of their feminine side, which is nothing more than to say they are caring, compassionate, nurturing, not afraid to share who they are and to be. And we know that to be pretty much the standard archetype of the roles of male and female. There is no right or wrong about it. We come into the experience to experience what it is. In this life, I cannot imagine what it feels to be physically a woman. I don't have those parts. Just as much as a woman cannot physically understand what it is to be male. They may have a knowing, if you again go back to the past life experience. Oh, I remember what that's like, but that's a very advanced being to be able to remember that and remember what it was like to live as the opposite sex. Very few, and I've not met any personally, but have read or heard about. I'm not claiming I remember my experience as a female, only that I remember the energy of that life being lived as a female. And a very old and wise one. It's a little gypsy woman in Italy or south of France, in the Mediterranean. And I know that only because it came as a memory to me, kind of like a deja vu moment when I first visited France. And I was in the south of France, and I knew where I was. And when I left that place, I cried, because I spent many, many years there in past life. And yet I'd never been there before in this. It was the only place I ever went to and left on a vacation or a visit. It was a business trip. And I felt I was leaving home. That life was more recent to mine. And it was, again, acknowledged with me in a reading that I got from a psychic and said, and I was like, okay, there you go. I can't deny those things. They happen. So sexuality is essentially just an expression of our experience here. Our religious dogmatic beliefs have primarily, in society in general, said, if you're a male, this is the role that you play. And if you're a female, this is the role that you play. And males and females are opposites because they are supposed to be together, and there is no other possibility. Now, this is an old paradigm belief. It still exists within a majority of the society as more, but obviously it is changing, it is shifting, because we wouldn't have the conversations that we're having. We wouldn't have a debate in this country alone, let alone all the others that have already accepted their gay and lesbian brethren as equal parts to serve in the military, to have relationships, to live their lives, as long as they are harming no others. Truly,
why would they?
Why?
Would they harm anybody else?
Why would they? So, essentially it is what it is. And if we just accept everybody for where they are, and the primary purpose of any relationship, be it loving and giving and caring, is to express it. Purely,
to express God.
wholly, unconditionally, beautifully, going back to the experience of living our life, laughing and loving. But it'll take a while for everybody to go that everybody actually has a right to do that with whomever they choose as long. And that's okay. It's all a part of the evolution, and we'll get there. So, for now.